I have spent every Thanksgiving of my life, 47 Thanksgivings, in Virginia at my parents' table. Every single one of them. Even ones I didn't want to spend there, I spent there. And this year, everything was different, right? But here's what I realized as I started praying. Thanksgiving was my dad's favorite holiday. It was the one that meant the most to him, and it was all, for him, it was just all about faith, and it was all about family. He could care less about football. He really, really liked his food. But the thing he loved about Thanksgiving was that we were all there. It was the one time we were all there. In fact, my dad's last Thanksgiving was 2016, and he knew he was sick. And in fact, he told us as a family that it would probably be his last Thanksgiving. And so he made sure everybody was there. They made sure my nephew came in from out of state, and they got everybody there. He got himself up and dressed and cleaned up and had a photographer come over and take pictures of the family. And he smiled as much as he could smile and ate as much as he could eat. And then he slept for the next day and a half. He just conjured every bit of strength he had for that day because he knew it was the last one that he was going to spend with us. And he was right. He died the next May. The next Thanksgiving was awful. Some of you have had that Thanksgiving, so you know what I'm talking about. The next Thanksgiving, we were in his house. We were on his day trying to do his stuff his way, but he wasn't there. And so it just felt empty. And for the first time in my life, Thanksgiving was miserable. The next year we decided, let's change things up a little bit. We have to keep having Thanksgiving because it was Dad's favorite holiday. So let's go to Virginia and we'll do things a little different. And we went to church in the morning and we had Thanksgiving with some cousins and we did this and we did that and came home and felt like, this isn't what it was supposed to be. Last Thanksgiving, we went back to Virginia and did what we always had done, and we went to church together, and then we went to my brother's house, and we sat around, and we tried to eat the stuff we're supposed to eat and talk about the things we'd always talked about. And it just didn't feel right, so much so that I told my mom before we left, I said, Mom, this is going to be the last Thanksgiving we spend down here. It's time for us to do something new. Which sounded like a great idea, because it was my idea. But then COVID comes, and I can't go down there. If I change my mind at the last minute and decide, you know what, I don't want my mom to be alone, suddenly I can't do that, and it became no longer such a great idea. It became something thrust upon me, something I did not want to do anymore. And yet God just kept reminding me, you made this decision long before it was made for you. I'd already spoken to you about this long before any of this was going on, which is just His grace and just His mercy. But you know what, as we planned for this Thanksgiving, a new Thanksgiving, God really started to speak to my heart about something. And that was the reason the last few years were so hard, was not because my dad was gone, but because we were trying to keep something alive that was finished. Because we were still trying to have a Thanksgiving that would have pleased Him when He was no longer there to be pleased. That we were still trying to recapture something old rather than walking into something new. And I'm going to be real honest with you. This Thanksgiving is one of the best Thanksgivings of my life. That we got to do it in a different place and in a different way and with different people. And I got to feel and experience the presence of God and the goodness of God. And rather than it being a day of mourning, it became a day of Thanksgiving again. Brand new. And guys, there are some things in your life that will not become brand new until you let the old things be buried. And I don't know what those are, and it may be way more serious than Thanksgiving. But I want to encourage you and even challenge you tonight. Stop telling God your old story and let Him speak to you His new plan. Because He rescued you from the old, so that He could deliver you into something new.